what makes the Divine Comedy so distinct and so powerful is the idea of paradox, or maybe dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. And so, all poetry is designed to be memorized. It's all designed to be read aloud. And there are subtlety and nuance in all poetry. And the reason why is, think of poetry as almost like a virus. And what it's trying to do is, it's trying to infiltrate you, it's trying to subvert you, and it's trying to remake you. Okay? And that's what the Divine Comedy does, where you read it, and it all sounds very simple and nice, but the more you memorize it, the more you interact with it, the more it enters you and it creates cognitive dissonance, meaning that it is disrupting the normal way you see the world. It creates paradox. And what's going to happen is that your mind is going to, by itself, subconsciously try to unravel these paradoxes over time. Okay? So the more you read the Divine Comedy over decades, the more it will reveal itself to you. It is a universe that comes into you, and then it remakes you. Okay? And that is the power and beauty of the Divine Comedy. So the trick is to unravel the paradoxes, which will implant themselves throughout the Divine Comedy. Okay, so so another thing about the structure is that in order to reach paradise, Dante must first enter Inferno, okay? And there are different ways you can interpret the meaning of this. The simplest way to interpret this is that in order to really truly discover God, you must experience hell yourself. Okay? So good and evil are intertwined together. You can never have good unless you first experience evil. Good is not the absence of evil. Good is a confrontation and the defeat of evil. Okay? That's one possible way to interpret it. But another way to interpret it is that Inferno represents Virgil, which represents the Iliad. And so for Dante to begin the process of entering into heaven, he must first recognize the impact of Virgil and the Iliad on his psyche, on his culture, and then by recognizing this, defeat the Iliad in order to fully embrace the power of God and of love. Okay? And that's the interpretation that I want to present to you as we go along. All right. Okay. So, having gone that, let's go over some basic biography. This is Dante, and Dante is considered the greatest poet in the Italian language. At this time in history, Italy was divided into city-states. So Dante was in Florence, but there are also some major city-states like Venice and Genoa. Okay? And they're all competing against each other. They're also competing against Rome, the Catholic Church, which want to exert authority over these city-states. At the same time, you had the different empires of Europe, for example, France, and basically the Holy Roman Empire, which we would today call Germany. And they're also trying to exert authority over these city-states. At the same time, there are different factions within these city-states, different families that fight against each other. So during Dante's time, and this again is about the year 1300, he is experiencing constant conflict, constant violence, constant hatred. And for him, the major question is, how can we as a people, as humans, escape this constant cycle of vengeance and hatred and war? And that's why he wrote the Divine Comedy. Two major biographic details that you need to understand about him is that he is of noble birth, and therefore he's a participant in this conflict. So the northern Italian city-states, which include Florence, Milan, Genoa and Venice, they have two major political factions, okay? This is Wikipedia, by the way, all right? The Guelphs, which support the papacy, and the Ghibellines, which support the Holy Roman Empire, okay? So Dante's family belongs to the Guelphs. So he was just born into this political rivalry. And over time, what will happen is that the Guelphs will win, but then the Guelphs will divide into the black and white factions, so different families fighting for power again, okay? So for Dante, all his life, he's experienced nothing but political rivalry and hatred. That's the first major thing you need to know about him. Ultimately, what will happen is that he'll get sick of this constant fighting, and he will exile himself to focus on his poetry. The other thing to know about him is he falls in love with Beatrice at a very early age, okay? He meets her when she is 9 and she is 8. The problem is that Beatrice's family is of more noble aristocratic birth than Dante. And at this time in history, all marriages are arranged. And so Dante marries someone of his class, Beatrice marries someone of his class. But they never really abandon each other, okay? They still remain friends. And Dante, in his heart, still has this longing for Beatrice. Beatrice will die pretty young, maybe when she's in her mid-20s, she'll die giving birth. But Dante never forgets about her. And he spends his entire life still remembering his love for Beatrice. And this becomes the basis of the Divine Comedy, okay?